I think back in the day, I don't know if young people feel this or not, but didn't you feel that there wasn't a lot of conflict? News was news, and that your friends, you didn't know if they were a political party? And I'm not sure if the young kids nowadays do, if all of our society has changed, or if it's just being young. But I felt like I didn't have a lot of conflict. There wasn't a lot of battles within as I was growing up. And at 17, I was discovered, and there's that whole story of how I got discovered in Buffalo in a modeling agency, and God knows why, because I had wet hair, and I was a tomboy, and I had no clue what I was doing. I had simple goals, though, when I was in high school. I remember all I wanted was, and I don't know if you guys were like this, stay out of trouble, get good grades, for me, fast swimming times, and go to college. And I kind of didn't think more than that. I remember my guidance counselor, she's like, what do you want to be? I'm like, I don't know. So you kind of have to figure out what your strengths were, and I thought I wanted to be a pharmacist. Never made it. So I never dreamed of things like living alone in New York City, missing college altogether. The last college course I took was in my senior year in high school, which was college calculus, as I was taking senior year trigonometry. So I just wasn't focused in thinking that my life would go the way it did. But when life throws you opportunity, how many of you guys are willing to step out and try something new? Are you willing to move out of your town? Are you willing to try a job where you don't know anybody? And for me, it was even going to New York with no skills. I mean, I didn't have a clue what a model entailed. I just kind of went and thought I'll figure it out as I go. So 44 years ago yesterday, I jumped on a plane and went to New York City. I didn't know what to expect. Like any new job, you keep your head down, you shut your mouth, and you listen, right? So I did that for like 2 years, but ask my friends, I also cried all the time, right? And unlike any new job, I didn't know my business. I hadn't studied fashion. I knew nothing about modeling. I knew nothing about photography, lighting. I knew nothing about hair and makeup. I was a swimmer. I knew wet hair. I knew how to dry my hair, and that was about it. So I struggled within this battle that I'm talking about of finding who I was and what was important to me. So as I was in high school, my whole value system of how I felt good about myself was based on performance. The good grades, staying out of trouble, fast swim times, those things were super important and gave me a good sense of who I was. When you go to New York City, how many people know that you don't care how fast your swim time is, right? They just want to see the outside, which I'd never focused on in my life. I didn't know how to pluck my eyebrows. I mean, we won't even go there. So I had to learn to take things a little bit at a time and find friends and run things by them and like, do you feel this? Is this the way it's supposed to be? And those are still friends today. And as you know, friends are people that tell you, they remember or remind you who you really are, right? So thank you to friends. And modeling is different. And I didn't put this into words before, but when I was writing it, I was like, this is good. So you have to get a job before you can do your job. Most of you guys have jobs. You go to the same place, you work in the same office, you've got the same people in your office day to day. With modeling, every day was a battle. As I first went to New York City, my first job was in Rome and Paris doing the collections for Italian Bazaar, for Haute Couture collections. I didn't know what Haute Couture was back then, but so for me, there's this battle within, am I doing the right thing? Do they like me? What do I need to change? Did I show up on time? What do I have to do to get a job? And I remember once showing up, and the photographer, they don't even look at you, right? So you walk in and they just look at your book, they close it after like a second, and they kind of just hand it back. They're not really even looking at you. And meanwhile, I'm a sweaty mess because I've been running through the subways. It's summer in New York City, and you're trying to look good, but you're also trying to get there on time. But I found that those were the jobs that I got. The people that they'd almost made up their mind, and that I'd showed up somehow. That's how I got the jobs. I found it was the places that would talk to me for 5 or 10 minutes. Oh, what are you doing? How are you? Blah, blah, blah. Those are the ones that were not going to use you, but they felt bad. So I don't know. It was just a strange way to get a job. So jobs started coming in. I think the best thing I can say for young girls, if you're interested in modeling, is always have something else to fall back on so that you're not desperate. Because I knew that if this wasn't going to work out for me, I could go back to school. I had parents that were supportive. I had other skills.